grab a cup of tea, guys. It's the Urban Turbine. So I'm just going to pop out some of these parts here, okay. Now I've got a conduit on there as well, which is not part of the turbine, but it comes on the sheet. I'll show you that in just a second. And again, because you've got these really kind of long thin bits, it is sometimes good to use a little glue edging technique on this particular item to give it strength once you've got the slots to the right size. Should it need adjusting, we'll find out. Put all these apart. Right, there we go. So, with a turbine, we've got two textures. Okay, we've got the more traditional, although we have changed it a little bit, the more traditional texture that we've got on our sci-fi turbine. A little bit more rusty, rustic orangey, rather than brighter orange. But we've also got this more, the reversible, this more kind of hard metal steel, and here we've added some new depth to the texture with rotten parts away. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick that in here, one there, and there's a middle slot on this one as well, and we're going to put that one in as well, making sure that I've got the orange texture on the inside, because we don't want the orange texture, we want the cool new metal texture. So I'm going to pop that in there. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bigger of these arches, okay, not the small ones, but the bigger of these semicircles, and again with this texture outside I'm going to slot these on. So I'm going to put one on here, and you can see here the slot this goes into is really wide. It's wide on purpose. It should fit 2 sheets in. So when you slot this in, you want to slot this in and you want to move it as far back to here as you can once you've slotted it in. So I'm going to pop that in there like that one, and I'm just going to move it back a little bit, okay. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm going to pop it in and I'm going to move it. Actually, that was perfect, got that in first time. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these parts here. Now these are almost identical. I mean, they're not, the textures are different, the shape, the cut is almost identical, except for this side has got this little bit here, which we pop out. Goodbye. And that part there needs to go on the side that's got this conduit bit sticking out. Okay, and we're going to very carefully also slot it into the same slot that this is in, because it's got that double width. And it's going to take some lining up here, okay, so I'm going to stick my big ginger head in here, stick that over there, and push that to the ground. I'm then going to do the same on the other side, okay, so I'm doing it as the grey texture, okay, over here like so, and get that to the ground. That's the basis of the turbine, okay. What we're going to do next is, before we put anything on the outside here, is can you see this tension here it's got here? This quite strong tension. We're just going to ease that out a little bit, just a small amount, and we're going to use these, okay, to basically line this up. And each one of these slots into these little kind of pegs, the little slots in here. And you've got one that goes right in the middle. These are all the same size, so it doesn't matter which one you're using. You line it up, and you do need to line it up, and when it goes in, it'll slot in like so. There's one. And just that one alone has held the tension on here perfectly. I will then very carefully put one in the bottom here, over that side, and one in here over that side. And you don't have to do it this way, I just like to do it that way. It seems to open up this nicely. And then I will very carefully just slot all of these in. Okay, and there you go. I put all of those fins in there. That looks really, really cool already. So really all I've got left to do now is to fit these parts here in. Now this little chap here actually goes in here at the back to create most of the back of this the turbine piece here. So I'm just going to very carefully, I'm just going to put this in here, and I'm going to stick it up inside, and I'm going to, I might need to widen this a little bit, and I'm going to just very carefully slot this guy in here. Okay, there you go, that's that part in. And then I'm going to put the part that goes over the top. And I'm just going to, that's what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to bend this in a little bit here, help line it up. And we've got some half cuts on here. And so I'm going to slot that into here, like so. Line that up, 1, 2. That then slots into this little peg, this little slot that we popped out of that semicircle. Okay, and I'm just going to give it a bit of a push in all directions, and there you go, you've got that side in there. So that's superb. Last but not least, you've got this piece here, which is just going to run across the top here. And you're going to pop that up if it fits, like so. Well, I never, not a single slot adjustment on that one, which is really fantastic. Can't believe it. Okay, so there you go, superb. That is a turbine, much improved over the old ones for assembly, clearly. Fantastic. Now, again, we've got the conduit here, which looks really cool when you stick this on the roof. Originally designed for the sci-fi set, our original set, but just looks really great, you know, on a roof in post-apocalyptic, on the shanty town alike. So half cuts on here. I'm then going to insert this part first at the back. A lot easier to do than on the turbine because I have these in separate areas. Maybe when you assemble the turbine, you can actually put that in first and then slot these semicircles in. You won't have that fiddly job that I just did then. So you end up with this kind of thing. And then we are going to put the piece with the little pipes on it down here. And then that should pop across the top and squishy squashy straight into there. And you've got this lovely little conduit. One single tab on here, which allows you to just sort of tab it and hold it onto a wall, which is fantastic. If you're going to put it on a roof, it helps because it means that you can kind of lift it a little bit, pop the roof out and have it just sitting there instead of having to unclip it before you take a roof off, which is really cool. So there you go, totally awesome. Probably the biggest sought after single item because it's a lovely piece for any battlefield, the turbine and conduit.